Beneath the silent, undulating ceiling of the water's surface, the world transforms. Light bends and dances, shadows deepen, and clarity becomes a rare commodity. Underwater photography is the art and science of capturing reality in a realm where visibility is precious and control is fleeting. It's not merely about pressing a shutter. It's about wielding the language of light, color, and optics to reveal the unseen, to document what lies beneath with honesty and precision. Here, every image is a negotiation with nature, a dialogue that demands both technical mastery and intuitive artistry. To understand underwater photography is to first understand light itself. As sunlight pierces the water, it's immediately transformed. Water, denser than air, bends light rays, shifting their paths and scattering their energy. The deeper you go, the more the world changes. Within the first 15 meters, the warm colors, red, orange, yellow, are stripped away, absorbed by the water. What remains are the cool, melancholy blues and greens, growing ever dimmer with every meter descended. By 35 meters, the spectrum has faded almost entirely to muted grays and shadowy blues. Photographers working at these depths are not just recording what they see, they're reconstructing a reality that the human eye can barely perceive.
But even what the eye sees underwater is an illusion. Refraction, the bending of light as it passes from water to glass to air, causes objects to appear larger and closer than they truly are. Specifically, subjects look a third larger and a quarter closer than their actual size and distance. This optical trickery can deceive even the most experienced diver, making careful composition and measurement essential. Every suspended particle, every ripple, becomes a brushstroke in the underwater scene, scattering light and creating a persistent haze that dulls edges and reduces clarity. Reflections on the inside surfaces of camera housings add another layer of distortion, further complicating the task. The tools of the underwater photographer must be as adaptable as the environment itself. Flat ports, simple glass windows in camera housings introduce their own distortions, from barrel-shaped warping to a loss of sharpness and color accuracy, especially at the edges of the frame. The remedy lies in dome ports, which mimic the shape of the human eye and correct for many of these aberrations. With a dome port, light passes through the camera's lens in a more natural way, preserving sharpness and restoring colors to what the eye might expect in air. The choice of port is not a matter of convenience. It's a decision that determines whether an image will be a faithful record or a distorted memory. Exposure, the heart of photography, takes on new meaning underwater. Achieving the perfect balance between aperture, shutter speed, and ISO is more than a technical exercise. It's a dance with physics and patience. The aperture, measured in f-stops, controls how much light reaches the sensor. A wide aperture, low f number, lets in more light but narrows the depth of field, risking blurred backgrounds or foregrounds. A higher f number, such as f11 or f16, increases the zone of sharp focus, crucial for technical inspections where every millimeter counts. Shutter speed is the gatekeeper of time. A fast shutter freezes fleeting moments, a darting fish, a drifting bubble, but at the cost of light. A slower shutter gathers more light, but invites blur from movement, both of the subject and the photographer, who is never quite still in the gentle sway of currents. ISO, the sensor's sensitivity to light, is a double-edged sword. Raising it brightens shadows and reveals details otherwise lost. But too high an ISO, and the image devolves into grain and noise, obscuring the very truths the photographer seeks to capture. Underwater, a careful balance, often between ISO 200 and 400, strikes harmony between clarity and sensitivity. Lens selection shapes the narrative. Wide-angle lenses, with their expansive views and forgiving depth of field, are favorites for underwater work. They allow the photographer to get close to the subject, minimizing the water and its distorting effects between lens and scene. With a wide lens, even objects at different distances can remain in sharp focus, and the risk of distortion is tamed. Depth of field, the distance within which everything appears sharp, grows with higher f numbers, shorter focal lengths,
and greater distance from the subject, offering flexibility in challenging environments.
But the underwater world is capricious, and certainty is elusive. Exposure bracketing, a proven technique, guards against errors. By taking 3 shots, 1 underexposed, 1 correctly exposed, and 1 overexposed, the photographer ensures that, no matter the shifting light or unexpected shadows, at least one image will capture the scene faithfully. This redundancy is not wasteful. It's essential, a safeguard against the unpredictable interplay of light, water, and movement. Color is the soul of underwater photography, yet it is also the first casualty of depth. As colors fade, the world turns to blue and gray, but the photographer fights back with tools and techniques. Filters, colored lenses placed in front of the camera, help restore missing hues, especially reds and oranges lost to the depths. Artificial lighting, from strobes and torches, reintroduces the full spectrum, painting the scene with the vibrancy of the surface world. Knowledge of the color wheel becomes both science and strategy, as complementary colors, cyan and magenta, are used to balance visuals when natural light fails. Film, though less common in the digital age, relies on the chemistry of silver halide layers to capture images, to prevent internal reflections that could blur or fog the photo. An anti-halation layer is applied, a silent guardian ensuring that each exposure remains crisp and true. Precision is paramount, especially in close-up or mosaic photography. When documenting welds or inspecting structures, consistency in scale and overlap is critical. A typical scale frame might measure 200 millimeters square, and each shot must overlap its neighbor by 50%, meaning a new image is captured every 100 millimeters. Each frame must include not just the subject, but also a clear scale, identification, and clock position, so that anyone reviewing the images can understand exactly where and what is being examined. Blurring, bubbles, and parallax distortions are the enemies, to be avoided at all costs. Parallax, the apparent shift in a subject's position when viewed from different angles, can introduce errors in measurement and interpretation. The use of single-lens reflex, SLR cameras, or careful alignment of the lens with the subject minimizes this risk. The goal is to ensure that every image is a true, undistorted record, not a misleading artifact. For more advanced documentation, photogrammetry and stereophotography come into play. By capturing pairs of images from slightly different angles and combining them with precise calibration plates or risu marks, photographers can generate detailed 3-dimensional models. These models are invaluable for mapping corrosion, measuring anode wear, quantifying marine growth, or diagnosing structural defects. It's a process that transforms photographs from mere pictures into data-rich maps, enabling engineers and scientists to analyze and understand the underwater world in unprecedented detail. Lighting, in all its complexity, is both ally and adversary. Electronic strobes, powered by rapidly discharging capacitors, provide intense, brief bursts of light that can freeze motion and reveal hidden details. Yet, if strobes are placed directly in line with the camera, the light bounces off countless suspended particles, creating backscatter, thousands of bright specks that obscure the subject. To prevent this, strobes are angled away from the lens and positioned no further than 1/3 of the visibility distance from the subject. In clear water, with 6 meters of visibility, this means keeping the strobe within 2 meters of the subject, a delicate balance between illumination and clarity. Specialized tasks, such as photographing magnetic particle indications, MPI, require further adaptation. Daylight fluorescent inks can be captured with flash lighting, but UV reactive inks demand complete darkness, save for the ultraviolet lamp. Here, the camera rests on a tripod, shutter open for extended periods, gathering the faint fluorescence that marks a defect. Manual control is essential, as even the smallest disturbance can blur the image or wash out the delicate glow. Technology continues to advance, and modern inspections now often rely on high-definition video. Video cameras, mounted on remotely operated vehicles or wielded by divers, record continuous footage of structures, welds, and components. From this footage, still images can be extracted. An invaluable capability when pausing to take photographs is impossible
or unsafe. However, these stills rarely match the sharpness or resolution of dedicated photographs, and careful review is needed to ensure nothing is lost in the translation from motion to moment.
Every photograph, above all, must serve a purpose. It must tell a story, cleanly and unequivocally. The subject should be centered, in sharp focus, and free from distractions. Each image must clearly show a scale for measurement, the component under inspection, and its orientation, often marked by clock position. Bubbles, backscatter, and umbilicals must be absent, as must any ambiguity. These are not just aesthetic choices. They are the grammar of underwater documentation, the standards by which images are judged and decisions are made. This is the language that underpins inspection, maintenance, and repair. It is how engineers and inspectors assess the condition of vital structures, justify interventions, and record the evidence upon which safety and integrity depend. Every photograph is a piece of testimony, a witness to the state of things beneath the surface, carrying a weight of responsibility that cannot be overstated. To master underwater photography is to master the art of revealing truth through layers of distortion, movement, and shifting light. It is a pursuit that demands more than technical skill. It requires patience, adaptability, and an unwavering commitment to accuracy. From the careful bracketing of exposures to the nuanced control of lighting, from the meticulous framing of mosaic images to the advanced modeling of photogrammetry, each technique is a step toward clarity, a means of cutting through the murk and uncertainty to find what is real. In the end, every image becomes more than just a picture. It becomes a reliable witness, a document of record, a bridge between the hidden world beneath the waves and the decisions made at the surface. Through the lens, the secrets of the deep are brought to light, one frame at a time, in pursuit of understanding, safety, and truth. Beneath the calm, beneath the chaos, beneath the endless shifting play of light, this is the mission of the underwater photographer: to capture reality, to bear witness, and to bring the silent stories of the depths into the clarity of day.